Hi, I'm Ryan Fraze. I'm the CTO of T3 Books, and I want to get started today by helping us to set things up, specifically our chart of accounts, funds, maybe labels, and kind of the foundation of what we need to move forward and start to do our daily work in the software. And of course, to get to good stuff, to get the reports out that give us clarity, vision into our org. So I'm going to jump in to where you jump in if you just hopped in the software right after signing up. So immediately after signing up, you would land right here. And you notice we have nothing going on, right? Zeros across the board, nothing's happening yet. So I'm going to take us to our foundation because that's where we do a lot of the setup of everything. Just to give you a brief tour, Upkeep is where we do our work every day, putting transactions in to our bank account, donations, things like that of that nature. And then Reports is where we get our results out. So let me jump into Foundation. Let me show you where you'd land. So you'd land right here. And if you look here, there's our assets, our liabilities, and of course, income and expenses. So let's start off with assets and let's say, hey, this is our account and we do banking with Chase. So we want a Chase checking account. This is really what this should be. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this default account and I'm just going to call it Chase checking. All right. And that Chase checking account is a bank account. And let's say right now we have $5,000 in that account. Well, that $5,000 needs to be somewhere, right? And so it needs to be in some funds because we can't just have money and not have it in a fund. So let's say that our donors gave $3,000 to our general fund, and then we have some other fund here that they gave $2,000 towards. And so that's kind of where our funds exist right now today. So I'll go ahead and save that. And now you notice we have a starting balance of $5,000 right here. And of course, that $5,000, like I said, is in those funds. And then let's say we have another account. We actually have a savings account or a CD or something like that. But let's say savings account with Chase as well. So I'm going to go right here and add another account. Now you could add a new account here. But if you add a new account here, you're going to have to type in the account type, the group, and all sorts of stuff like assets. You're going to have to pick that information. But better yet, if we just click right here, this is going to allow us to add a group, an account to our cash group under assets. So let's say this is 1001. And this is our Chase savings account. And we've been pretty diligent. So we actually have, let's say, $12,000 in this one. And that's going to be as of today. And could, of course, do a couple days ago. But let's say we're getting set up for today. And let's say that we actually have 4,000 here. But this restricted fund is something we've been kind of saving up for a big project or something like that. So there's $8,000 in there. All right. So that's going to allow us to create the account, right? And there it is. Oops. And notice it's not a bank account. So let me show you what that means. If I go to Upkeep, this is where we do our daily work, you'll notice Chase checking. But if you click the drop arrow, there's no Chase savings. That's because we didn't mark it as a bank account. Let's go back here and let's edit this. And let's say, yep, this is a bank account because that's going to allow us to, of course, now, again, in Upkeep, we'll be able to get into our savings account if we want to enter transactions, reconcile, do whatever we're going to do here. All right. So that's kind of how we do the general adding. I'll go ahead and say that we also have a credit card. We have a Citibank double cash card. And right now on that, we owe $2,500. And again, just like our checking, that $2,500 has to be stuff we spent for reasons. And the reasons would be associated with the fund, right? So let's say we mostly have been operating out of this. So we have $1,800 here. But then we started getting started with this big project we have going, and we did put $700 of charges on that. So there we go. And we can save that. And now we have our credit card set up. All right. So that is the basic of accounts. Now funds. Right here is funds. Of course, this is where we had our general fund. So I'm going to go ahead and we don't need default here. I'm going to take that out. This is just going to be called our general fund. And then I'm going to rename this to just all funds. I don't need a bunch of fund groups. We only have a couple funds in this org. But the fund groups do help you organize if you want them and you have a lot of funds going on. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to say, you know what? This can just be our project fund, and we will leave it restricted. All right. So now we have our project fund. And really, I would like that to just be up in this group or all, I don't know why I said all groups. Let's say all funds. And I want this to be up there. Now, there's a cool thing about T3. You can click this. Notice the little hand here and the little handles, and you can click it and it'll say, hey, do you want to rearrange? We'll go, yeah, let's rearrange. And now I can just go ahead and slide this one up here, drop it in. Oh, that made it a sub fund. It's not really a sub fund. So let's go ahead and take it out of there. There we go. So now we have our general fund and we have a project fund. So let's go ahead and save those changes. And you'll notice now we just have one fund group here. All right. So there are also labels if you want to get a little bit more advanced and have more categorization. It's very similar to funds. I'm not going to go into that today, but I do want to also go ahead and show you this. If you look here, we also can add a new fund right here. And that fund could be project, say future project. And that one's also going to be donor restricted. And that's going to be 3,200, let's say. And we'll put it in all funds. All right, so that's the basics of how we can add anything here. Now, I want to point something out. We have a really cool button here I want you to take advantage of in the future called transfer funds. Fund transfers can be tough for the accounting, but in T3 Books, it's really easy. You just hit transfer funds here and you pick where you want to go from, let's say the general fund. We want to go to the project fund, and let's put a reason in here. Let's say jumpstart. We want to jumpstart our funding. And it will tell us, hey, we have this many assets and liabilities in the general fund right now. So our net position is 5,200. And so we're just going to put $500 in to jumpstart it. And we're going to do that in the savings account. So let's go ahead and hit transfer. And there we go. We did it. So you'll now notice right here, right, that we have our starting balance if we look in our checking account. But then if we look in our savings account, we have our starting balance. But notice we also have this $0. This is that fund transfer, right? It's $0 that moved in and out of the account, but it moved the $500 in this account between our funds, right? And here we have our jumpstart, all right, for the memo. So that's kind of the basic idea of the chart of accounts, funds, and how some of this can be set up. Now, the last thing I want to quickly cover is you can go over, let me go into another org I already have set up, and this has quite a bit more data in. And I want to show you why we might want to have certain structures. So here we have quite a few income and expenses in different groups. And then we also have quite a few funds, and these funds are in different groups like operating, designated, and restricted. So I'm going to show you now what that does in the reports. So if you go and pull a balance sheet, you're going to notice we have operating, designated, and restricted. Notice they're in the same order as they are in our foundation. So if you ever want to reorganize things because you'd like your reports to come out looking differently, what you could do is you can go to your foundation and change it, right? So back again, sorry, I want to point out that it's operating, designated, and then restricted. But man, I really want my restricted to come first. So you can go to foundation, go to funds, and say, hey, I want restricted funds to come first. So we can say, yeah, let's rearrange them. And let's just take all of restricted and move it in front of designated. Save it. Now we got our restricted first. And if we go and pull a new report, there we go. Restricted is now here, right? And you can do that for all of this organization. It can be changed there. You can get pretty into this. You can even go and reorganize things all sorts of ways. So if you go into foundation, you can move things, let's rearrange. You can move things to be kind of sub accounts. So you can drag this right here and say, hey, drop it on the savings account, drop this one in there, drop this one in there. And then you can even in there say, I want this sub account before that one. and reorganize all this, and save your changes. And then there you go. You can also go into your funds, and same sort of idea, right? You can go ahead and start kind of changing some of these around, like, oh, I want the shelter program is actually part of youth ministry, and so is food distribution. We just do youth ministry for all this, right? So you can do something like that, and then say, actually, and this is all belongs up here. Oops. Now they're all sub funds, which is fine, right? You may have to play around with this a little. Go, no, I want that one there, right? And so you can kind of play around a little bit here. And feel free to always drop something into something else. It'll become a sub fund, or pull it out again, then it'll become a regular fund, right? So this is kind of the general idea of how we could rearrange some of this stuff. Oh, there it became a sub fund. I don't want it to be, so I'll pull it out, right? So that's kind of the idea, again, of how we do this. And you'll notice here, legacy fund is disabled. So that's another one there. Say we want part of the building fund, right? We can save our changes, and then actually, if we want to show disabled funds, let's re-enable that one even, so we can kind of see how these look. And we'll go to reports and balance sheet, and here you go. Notice we have some sub accounts here now, right? And those can even collapse up, and you'll notice that it adds up here when it collapses, and it gives us the total. And then also, you notice we only have 2 fund groups now, right? And we have all these sub funds here of the building fund, so we can collapse that down, collapse the missions fund down, right? And we can kind of get our structure allows us to get a lot of customization and a lot of structure here in reports where we want to be able to see things easily, right? Same with the income statement. Of course, we're going to have our funds now with our new structure in the income statement. So hopefully that helps. Remember, you can always reach out. There are lots of ways to reach out. You can reach out from the chat feature on the website, email support@t3books.com, right? And we are more than happy to help you walk through some of this.